Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, all travelers of the EAC. My name is Jared, and with me is the spry turtle himself, Ian.
Oh, that's me!
We will be your hosts for the episode. We are honored and grateful that you have joined us here at our table. Today, we're at the feature table, where we are taking a look at Australis. Designed by Leo Colovini and Alessandro Zucchini. Nope, there's no way his name is a vegetable. And Alessandro Zucchini. Artwork by Fiore GmbH and published by KOSMOS.
Australis is a 2 to 4 player open dice drafting game where players are sea turtles traveling along the infamous EAC, or East Australian Current.
Righteous!
Righteous! Righteous! Players will move along this current, building a beautiful coral reef or building huge schools of clownfish. Anyway, let's ride the EAC and say some funny jokes. And give me some fin, some noggin. Dude. Let's discuss.
Fantastic. So did you bring jokes prepared?
There was this mollusk.
Classic.
There was this mollusk
Nope,
and...
we're done. The mouse is already listening. Please stop.
And there was an anemone. Or
Okay.
wait, did the mollusk... Wait, who said what to the... Anyway.
Perfect.
Fish are friends, not food.
Ian.
That's all I know.
Indeed. Ian, we are clearly referencing Finding Nemo because
No.
this game is as close to Finding Nemo without slapping the name on there as you can, which I will say I am a huge fan of. I love when you can just imply things and just be like, guys, we all know. I think there was a game I played a long time ago, Blue Lagoon, and I'm like, oh, this is just Moana the prequel, the board game.
Right.
But you never actually say that, so...
Exactly.
Anyways, no, I'm very curious, Ian. Do you have a favorite character from Finding Nemo?
What's the starfish's name? In the tank.
From the fish tank?
In the tank. Yes.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, my favorite my favorite quote, like when I'm having a bad day, I think of the moment when she's like, "It's a beautiful day. The tank is clean. We're going to get out of here. The tank is clean. Wait, the tank is clean." And so I try and remind myself, that the tank is clean, but that, you got to look at the positives.
Sure.
So, no, I think that character is really funny. Or Jacques, the Bubbles Man.
Yes.
By Bubbles. So,
yes.
I mean, obviously, I love all the main characters, all the sharks.
Of course,
yes.
I mean, this is we're really fishing for the NPCs that we love here. So.
Exactly. But I didn't want to steal your thunder, so who do you got?
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So for me, it's the sharks, Bruce and Chum and Anchor. Dude, that whole scene, like, it's incredible to me. I love everything about it. Do what?
The intervention where they all sit down.
The very classic sharks not eating fish meeting that we have to attend.
Yes.
I love it. And so everything about that just tickles me every time I watch that movie. And so they're my favorite characters for sure.
Absolutely. No, I mean, honestly, I think it's Ellen that plays, and she just knocks it out of the park. Like, it's so perfect character. So
it's a good movie for sure.
No, top tier.
Yep.
So anyway,
all right.
Well,
and let's talk about how to play this game.
Yeah, please tell me how to play, because I clearly don't.
Oof, you guys. Ian's had a rough and tumble on the EAC.
No, I think I stayed on the EAC fine. It was all the other things I could not do well at all.
Well, Anywho, it's the journey along the way, I suppose. So, in Australis, the goal of the game is to have the most points at the end of 5 rounds. There are multiple different tracks to be able to score points, and players can go in a variety of different tracks or currents, if it were, to be able to gain those points. So At the beginning of each round, there are 17 dice if you're playing in a four-player game, and you do take away a few if you're playing in 3 or 2-player games, where you will roll them and set them up on the board to be drafted by the players. Starting with the first player, you will go around the table, taking one die at a time and doing its action. We're going to focus on this first because it is a large part of the game. So there are 5 different sections. There's 5 different sections that you can draft from. There's 4 dice where you can move along the EAC itself with your turtle. There are 4 dice where you can plant coral along the reef as you're going. There are 4 dice to collect fish, to create a big, massive pool of fish, which can collect you a lot of points. Or you can draft 4 dice from this selection of cards that you will add to your seaboard, so that when you collect dice later on in that particular column, whether it be the fish, the traveling on the EAC, the coral, or going back for more cards, you could have additional effects trigger. Now, if you don't want to do that, you're more than welcome to treat those cards as a one-time use, take its benefit, and then just discard it. The last space in the 5th section is to be able to take the first player die. Now, it is a die because it will be used in the latter part of this round. Each round is broken up into 3 phases. Drafting is phase 1. Then you're going to score in phase 2. In phase 2, you're going to be looking at 3 different things. 1, who has the majority in each coral reef section. If you have majority, or you break the tie for majority by being farther along on the EAC, then you get a certain amount of points, and you'll work your way around the board. The second way to score is by feeding that school of fish that you're going to be building. And now, it's not as simple as just collecting all the fish and then saying I have enough food. You do have to collect food cubes along the way to be able to score more points based on the amount of food that you have. And then thirdly, the farther along the track you are on the EAC itself is also going to grant you more points. So you will track for all 3 of those for all players. You will return your yellow dice, which are your fish, and your white dice, which are your card collectors, because they do not have any numbers on them. However, the purple dice, which is the coral, the blue dice, which is the travel, and the red die, which is the first player marker, are going to be collected by each player that drafted them this round, and you're going to have a dice roll-off. This is essentially, in theme, being able to handle the current and the tumultuous nature of the current itself as you work your way along. And so we want to see how well you're handling that. So players will roll their dice, and whichever die value is the lowest will be removed from that person's pool. If there are multiple of the same number, they all get removed. So when Ian rolls 3 3s and that's the lowest, that sucks for Ian. But we, mourn for him and then move on to the next round where we roll again. And play continues like this until a winner and a second place is determined. Because there are tiles that will be taken by the first place player and the second place player of each dice roll-off. The first stack of tiles is generally just points. You're going to get points that you're going to be able to score and add to at the end of the game. The second one is also points, but it's a lesser value. But you do get to add one of those very valuable food tokens to your seaboard. And so you got to make a choice. Am I going for a lot of fish, or do I just want a lot of points? Play will continue like this for 5 rounds, and then you will tally up not only the current scores that everybody has, but you'll also include 1 point for each coral that is on the board. You will also score for any face-down tiles that you've selected throughout the game from the dice off. And then the blessed first player die gives you 1 more point, and then whoever has the highest total is declared the best traveler on the EAC. So with that, Ian and I will discuss our thoughts on Australis.
Absolutely. I'll discuss my thoughts.
Wow. Ian, let's walk trepidatiously, shall we?
No, you got to sell out on the EAC. There's no holding back.
I suppose that is a way of doing it. So, Ian, let's just start with the artwork.
Absolutely.
I think that this game, one of the things that I really liked about the artwork in this game is the board itself. And what I liked about it is it pops, it has color, it does different things, but it doesn't like smother the game pieces and the game spots on the board. Everything is very clear about where it's supposed to be. I mean, sure, once you have like 12 coral down amongst all the players, it could be kind of hard to see what the point values are, but that has nothing to do with the artwork on the board, which I just really appreciate when you can create good art, but not get in the way of the game.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the design of the board and the way the EAC loops through the center of the board in a way, but allowing the rest of, the mechanics of the game kind of flow around it is a really good design, and it makes sense thematically as well. The ability to have this, you have an outside scoring track that is keeping track of everybody's points, classic point scoring mechanism there.
Standard since the beginning of time.
Yeah, exactly. With that, though, you have this inner board that has the EAC through it, and you have, again, like you mentioned, there's nothing that is taking away or becoming distracting amongst these other things, between the coral, between the dice, between the cards that also get laid out on the board. Like, everything fits on the board, and it does make sense, and it allows for people to understand exactly what they're looking at. The one thing about like you said, the artwork and as a whole, I would like is the icons for the coral areas to be maybe a little bigger. I thought they kind of get washed out when you like start putting a ton of coral on there. That's the only thing I would say about the artwork that I wish maybe was just a little bigger or like a little bolder. I think that would have been a nice feature to have, because like I also got kind of lost. I'm like, okay, where's the 4 spot? Where's the 5 spot? But overall, like, it wasn't hard to find. Like, I think overall it's not taking away from anything, and it's really, honestly, the artwork pops. It's really pretty board. Even the coral areas, like, they put a nice, beautiful design inside those areas. All of it is absolutely gorgeous. It's full color, too. Adds so much detail to the game without, like you said, taking away from any... It's not distracting by any means.
Yeah, I would add, I think the board is really pretty. I do have some things that I thought about looking at the game that I was kind of whatever about from an artistic standpoint. I realized playing this game how difficult it is to assign victory points with something that is thematic within the game. Because like in this game, it's just a dot, right? That like represents whether it's on the dice or it's on the cards. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's just a dot.
Yeah. Victory point.
And it's that way on the board too. And I'm like, man, this is so boring. Like, why is it a dot? But then like you think about trying to incorporate it into adding it on the dice and, all these different things, and you kind of understand. So
yeah,
it's just
you can't
really
put
tough.
That symbol on the die, that'd be challenging, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really fault that. I just really wanted to put that out there as like, man, that like I love games that can figure that out, where points like really have this thematic tie-in, instead of just you're doing better than everybody else by doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I just want to throw that out there. But also, I thought the cards themselves were kind of bland. We could have done a little bit more there. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, I think it's fine. I don't think it takes away from the game at all.
No.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I think, yeah, the cards, like, it's kind of repetitive art, I think, from what I remember about most of them. And... which is fine. But I think, honestly, one way to counteract this thing of like, okay, the victory points are just dots, is like those scoring markers instead of just colored discs. If you did something like cooler, like, I don't know, like eggs, or I don't know, sea turtle eggs or something. I don't know. Just like, because there's already sea turtles on the board. So I don't know if you want to add another one around the track, but just something different other than just a disc, it's like makes it feel like it's your own player piece,
But then does that make it more complicated because the dot correlates to the disc? And so there's that like easy...
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think so as much. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. Anyway.
I'm just... Yeah. So it was just a small thing I noticed.
Yeah, small quibbles here. The artwork is really pretty though.
One thing I will say that's not a small quibble, Ian, the fish. Let me tell you how frustrated the fish are.
Finding Nemo himself is hard to find Nemo amongst the other Nemos.
So my beef, there's 2 fish token types in this game. They are worth 1 point apiece, or 1 fish apiece, or they're worth 3 fish per token.
Yeah.
It is impossible to tell the difference between the two.
It's pretty bad.
Like, you've got to have them right on top of each other. And even then, I'm like, is that a 1 or a 3?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Especially from far away, you have no shot of
Yeah.
I mean, I have to grab a whole handful to see. Totally an oversight. I like the fact that they're clownfish and both of them are clownfish. That's fine. You know, a recommendation we talked about is having a different type of fish as your threes. I don't care. Put numbers on the backs.
Yeah.
I find if you don't want to put it on both sides, that is totally fine. But let's say somebody does not have good eyesight, or, you know, is colorblind for all I don't know, whatever, you know, disability you want to have here.
Yeah.
The disability of just being dumb. And so therefore I can't tell which one's which. And so it's a complete oversight. I'm not sure what happened there. They just need to put numbers on one side of it. That's an easy fix.
I don't know,
It's
man.
not that
There's
hard.
thousands of fish out there. And like
Yeah.
you could have made the blue dory fish. You're
Sure.
leaning so close into it anyways.
Sure.
Like why
Whatever. Maybe
can't
they
we
just
go
wanted-
one more step?
They just wanted clownfish, and that's fine. I don't care. Put a number on it. 'Cause I'm
So-
not going to write on every single one, so do it for me.
Sure. So it's a small thing, but it came up every game. So I felt like
it's
I had
bad.
to
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
it's
it.
a bad oversight. Bad
sure.
oversight. Overall
Which is-
components are great, but
Yeah,
like
the dice
that
are
was-
nice. They're
Yeah.
the right size.
Yeah, no, wooden dice. Who doesn't love wooden dice? Yeah, complete oversight on the fish tokens. Just completely not sure how that even happened. Like, I don't know how nobody said anything during that one. That's crazy.
But I will say too, like thinking about the dice, and you mentioned people that have a hard time with eyesight. Like as someone who has a hard time seeing across the table, I could see all of the die faces easily from anywhere I sat on the table, and that was never a problem. Like I knew those dice do that, and I didn't have to be like, "Hey, what's that?" And then everybody would be like, "What are you doing?" I could just decide based on my strategy. But if I want to look across the table and be like, "How many fish you got?" Then it's immediately like, "Why are you asking about fish? What are you about to pick?" You know.
Right.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
all right. Enough about this. I don't want to dwell, but
We dwelled
it
on what we didn't like there for a minute.
It had to be brought up for
It did.
sure.
It was bad.
Yep. So, all right, man. What's either the draw or a favorite mechanic that you have for this game? Let's start with the positive on our gameplay.
I think one, like, dice in games is a great mechanic, and mitigating the randomness in some way, shape, or form, other than just like everybody rolling their own dice and just see what happens. I think you rolling this pool of dice and everybody drafts from it is a great concept. And I really like the idea of kind of reacting what do the dice rolls have, reacting to what the other players have, and then I always love drafting games in general. And so this fine-tuned balance of choosing a valuable die that rolled well, and potentially choosing it over something that you need now, or the opposite of that, of like, well, this dice is too good not to take. I need to take this, even though I want this. And so it is a complex decision making that you're always choosing the best option. Being able to move, you have these different components of the game all working together, with each die kind of interchanging and integrating itself with the rest of the game pieces. If you move the turtle, that allows you to unlock other things with the coral, but the coral allows you to have a stronger die, and so then you have that roll off, which the coral is the best die for that, other than the first player die. So it is a really good design as far as integrating the different dice and the mechanics of each of those and integrating them together in value. I think there's some that are more valuable than others. Other than like the coral, obviously you just roll a much stronger die than the rest of them. So that has incredible value. But getting cards and fish tokens, these are all important things as well. And so I think they each have their own importance when drafting. And I think there's times that you would want to take one over the other, though I think moving the sea turtles is the strongest of them. I think that is one of the most important features. And if you're not doing it by taking blue die, you're going to have to find a way to do it in another way. And I think you still have to take blue dice, which is the movement. You can't win this game without moving the turtles. You can't be, losing 10 points to a player because you haven't moved your turtle. So,
and they got to move twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they will.
Yeah.
They will absolutely move twice if they can.
Right. And so I think there's opportunities where you don't take it like with your first die, but when it comes back to round, you have to take it. And so like there's things like that I think that are that definitely show more potential than others. But overall, I love the fact that there is equal opportunity here amongst the dice, and they all integrate into all of the other actions very, you know, eloquently.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, that's good. I mean, one of the things that really drew me in, I will say this, for game one, we finished it up, and I was like, this was interesting, and it was all right. Like, but coming back to it, what really kept drawing me back in was that even for such a simple game, there were multiple paths to victory.
Yeah.
And there wasn't just, I want to collect all the fish and then I'll be golden kind of thing. Like there were multiple, there's a fun little balance that you're trying to find in each game of I have to navigate around what the die rolls are because the die rolls are different every round. So I can't just assume that everybody's moving 6 or 7 spaces on the EAC. It might be one person and then everybody else is moving 2 or 3. So how do I mitigate that? And how do I figure out a way to move around it? So riding the EAC is important because it does break tiebreakers in addition to giving you more points, and it does collect you more food tokens. But I do think that collecting the fish, knowing when to place the coral, finding those majorities early so that you're collecting points every round, deciding which cards. That's the other thing I love, dude. Like the game wants you to collect some cards, but you can't just sit there and collect cards all game, or you'll basically not score anything. You'll just be stuck with a bunch of cards.
Right.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, we can power things up and then do stuff, but the game's not long enough to really cash in on that. Like you got to pick 1 or 2 things to enhance, and then you're done. So those are a couple things that really drew me in as I got more plays into it, because this is definitely one of those games. If you're a seasoned gamer, not even someone who likes heavy games, just someone who's played several games, it would be very easy to play this once and kind of write it off if you don't have a great experience because you think you've seen it. But I think there's some uniqueness here as far as how the things all tie together, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, no, they definitely tie together, and there's definitely a ton of different combos, especially with the cards and the bonuses that you get for taking specific actions. All of those features are, you're not going to see in one game. You might see multiple people try different things, but like narrowing that down is definitely not going to be something that you see in just one game. So I definitely give it multiple tries and see what strategies you like and which ones you enjoy playing, not just trying it just to try it. So
yeah. So we've talked a lot about the dice, like the dice drafting, and we've talked a little bit about the different paths of point scoring. Anything on that, or like any thoughts that you want to share on the dice rolling that we do in the third stage of the round, where we're rolling against each other? Curious what your thoughts are on that.
yeah, I mean overall, I think the dice rolling is interesting. It is obviously completely random, and yes, you can get the little bonus things that give you 1+ to those specific dice, which is really, I mean, critical.
It can be huge.
That having one of those cards will continually win you those roll-offs on average. Like, I won my first game, I won or was in first and second like almost every time because I had them. And then in the second one, I didn't really go for dice rolling, but I never really even got in the top 2. I think like one time, and it was just from a fluke, So like, it's definitely more consistent rolling when you have those for sure. 1+ is huge. I find it, there's just I'm uncertain how I feel about it as a whole because there is just a massive amount of points to be scored on a random fluke die roll, where the rest of the game seems to be very straightforward in the way you score points. You move along the AC, that scores you points. You put coral down, that's scoring you points. You roll some dice against all the other players, and even if you had 2 and they had 4, you beat them. Overall, yeah, like it is kind of a fluke at times. It's obviously luck and dice rolling, but there is a ton of points that could be won or lost in the dice off, especially in the final rounds. So that's the one area that I'm uncertain about how I feel about it. I think it's just there's just a lot of points that is just completely random. So especially between first and second place, I mean it's like 15 points, and 15
On the
points
last round, yeah.
and 15 points can win or lose you the game specifically. So it's just a lot.
Yeah, I think in the fifth round, because it increases in value as you go.
Yeah.
In the fifth round, the points focused one has a 15 pointer and the silver has a 7-pointer. So it's an 8-point swing just for first and second in that last roll off. And I agree, like, I don't know, I'm very torn about it too, because the more I've thought about it, like, why would you add this? It does a couple of things in my opinion. I think it's like a wonky way to try and build in a catch-up mechanic, because I think without it, like, it is very much based on who's going first and who's drafting the best dice if you take that mechanic out. But the other thing that I really like of what this third phase does is it causes you to consider differently than you might have about what you're going to draft. Do I want to get those 2 power-up cards, or do I want a third purple die because I know I'm going to need it in that third phase? And like, I'm not going to get as much points from that, but I could potentially make bank. So it's tough. Like, I agree with you that it's a big swing if, you came in with your 1 die to my 4 and somehow you came out on top. Like, that would suck, because that could happen. It has happened. But I don't know. Like, I think the game's light enough and it goes quick enough that I don't have a problem with it. I understand why it's there. And I do like the effects that it has on the rest of the game because of it. I almost wonder, like, could you have made the points lower? Like, I don't know if that was considered. But if you make it a little bit lower where it's not quite as swingy, where it still gives you a bit of a catch-up mechanic if you're the one focusing on that and you're not in first place.
Yeah.
But as it is, it's kind of tough if you end up missing out on it.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a good amount of points. As an example, if you're going for fish, like, you're not drafting one of those dice, so you're not going to roll. And if you do, it's going to be minimal.
Sure.
So it's for specific gameplay, it's not for where the other ones, if, moving along the AC, you're going to roll a die. The coral, you're going to move along the die. And if you get, white card, or if you get the cards, like, usually you're doing those in conjunction with one of those other 2 actions. So therefore they kind of work together, where the fish is kind of his own thing, because all you do is get fish tokens. You don't get anything else.
Sure, but
they do work for the cards.
The fish has the highest potential to really score you a lot of points if you do it right.
Right. But the fish and the cards work together, which means you're definitely not taking a numbered die. So that's the only one that, doesn't work with the card, because the other cards work with the other numbered dice, but the fish doesn't work with the numbered die, or the fish doesn't really work. I mean, yeah, you use everything together, of course, but
I think I hear what you're saying.
Because
it's tough.
If you take fish and then cards, you're not rolling.
But you're out, yeah.
And then the other thing is, if you do, like, okay, I'm gonna gain fish or something via cards and then take the other dice, you can't get enough fish tokens, because there's the cards only give you like 1 fish.
Yeah,
when you trigger it.
Max of 1.
If you're going for fish, that 1, because you took a purple die, is not going to be enough. Like, you have to take the yellows. But
I think that also gets into the understanding of, that concept of hate drafting once you really understand the game. Because once you see someone really going for fish, like, at some point you've got to take a fish die from them that gives them a lot of fish. Because you just can't allow that to continue unhinged, or it'll spiral out of control. And you can't earn enough points to catch up. So it's an interesting balance. Like we were saying earlier in the pros, like, all these different pieces tie together when you're thinking about what to draft. And that's what I think is really elegant about it. So I do like that aspect. It's a tough pill, because, like, it almost feels necessary to the game and yet also feels separate, and like this side mini game that we do at the end of each round. It's tough.
Yeah. I think the main, like, I guess maybe the issue that I have that kind of maybe applies to all of it, and maybe that's it, is that, and I think for the coral that was the decision you had to do because, you have so many different areas of coral. So that you need different numbers, but maybe if you didn't have all the different sections, maybe smaller sections just, with them. But what I'm trying to say is that the range, especially with the blue die, the movement, like it's 7 and then there's 2. I like the fact there's
Your
a
range is 2 to
range.
7 is what you're saying.
Yeah, I like the fact there's a range. What I maybe would have preferred is maybe like maybe 2 of like the 4 or something, and because it does feel like I think that adds to the dilemma of which I faced in one of my games is where you are banking on if you take the first player token, you're gonna have a good shot at a good die, and then you roll like all 4s and 2s. And so that's fine. I like, again, a little bit of randomness, but it does seem like that range, if you maybe tighten the range or maybe add a little bit more of like a score and then have the really high one, then that dice rolls wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like I have no chance. So, let's say if you changed, maybe if you had a 3, 2 4s, and then, or a 2 and a 3, 2 4s, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Instead of like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever it is, it's just a little bit more of that middle number to kind of balance out the wide range of numbers that you could roll might be beneficial to not feel as swingy for me in my head. That's like my fix in my head for that. And the same thing applies to the coral because you do have this kind of wide range as well. And maybe you could have one less section and just have a bigger coral reef that scores even more points. So I don't know. It's just a thought. And it's mainly because I don't like the randomness of each, how the range is affecting kind of multi areas of the game for me. It's affecting that when I do take the first player token, I can't move very far because we didn't roll a high number, or they're like all low numbers. Or, the roll off at the end is just, it's hard to do if you don't have one good luck or, the increased cards or whatever they're called. I forget what they're called. The bonus cards or whatever. Went to your rolls. It adds 1 to your rolls. So those are all really good. It's just an issue that I have. I'm not sure what would I do different. That's just a thought I had in my head is maybe if those ranges weren't so crazy of a spread, maybe it would make it a little bit easier on some people. Or like you mentioned, the points that the winning the roll off maybe is slightly reduced would make it not feel so daunting to have to never participate in it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think at the end of the day, and again, like you and I know that we disagree here. I don't have as many issues with that as you do, and I think that some of it comes down to how the game is approached. I don't think the game wants to be taken too seriously. I think even in a 4-player game, like you're talking about 40 minutes max. And so, it 100% sucks when those bad die rolls happen, especially if it starts to snowball and it just happens over and over again. It just makes for a really bad experience, which I know you've had at least 1, if not 2 of those. So that is definitely something to be aware of when you're considering this game. Like if that's something that's going to bother you, then it's something to maybe keep away from on your table. But I don't know, man. Like for me, and we're kind of moving in, I guess, into the next thing. But I don't know. For me, I really enjoy this as a gateway game. I enjoy this as something that a lot of families can enjoy, that they can pull out, get to the table quickly. It's very accessible as far as remembering the rules and being able to just jump right into it. And because it is a dice chucker, like it's light and it's something that a lot of people can get into. I've played this with a variety of different groups already. They all really, at least over half the group enjoyed it in every single session that I've played. And several of them were players that were not gamers. And that was enjoyable to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's definitely a gateway game. I just find there's definitely a lot of, there's more randomness than meets the eye, I think. I mean, like I said, I think there is, obviously you draft all the dice and that's really good, but going early in the turn is absolutely critical. And if because you kind of waste a turn to take the first player token, And if you take the first player token, then the next roll or two are bad, then you're royally screwed. Like there's nothing you can take the good dice, but if you were like, man, I really need good options here, like, and as an example, I mean, I guess I shouldn't have banked on having a really good movement from round to round, but when it's like a 7, 4, 2, and 3, and I didn't go first that round, then I'm moving 3, so I take the first player token to try and move, at least catch up half of that, and then it's just like 4, 3, 2, and 2. Not great. So there's things that you can't. Again, I'm gonna say, yeah, this game is definitely a gateway game. I think there's rules that aren't going to be for a heavy gamer that he can't control, which
I
I
don't think a heavy
totally.
gamer would like this. I would
Which
pretty
I
much put that out there.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but I consider myself a gamer that likes, a wide variety of different games. I can tell you right now, I did not have an enjoyable experience in playing any of the games because I felt like everything that I tried to do failed royally. Like there was no strategy that I attempted that I didn't come into complete and utter last place or got cooked by about 55. And so, but my wife enjoyed, playing the game, and so there's that. Like I definitely respect and give the game props for that. But I don't consider myself a bad gamer, so I don't know what went wrong other than I just wasn't playing the right strategies, and I definitely didn't hit luck when I needed it. Where whenever I was watching the other people win the game, they hit luck when they needed it most, and mine, I didn't hit that. So not that this game is all luck. I get that's not what I'm trying to say. I just think that there is critical moments in this game that you need 1 or 2 luck moments, and you need to hit on them, and those are critical for having a good score. And so if you don't get those, then it's just going to be a struggle. Not that you can't overcome it at points, but that's just my perspective of the games that I played. And too, on a more positive note, I think that welcomes this area of Gateway Gamer is that if, everybody's kind of on the same playing field in that regard, then it welcomes this opportunity for everybody at the table to have a good chance to win, and allows people to kind of try new things and not feel like that's going to ruin their game. Like they're not going to, oh, I'm going to go for this way. And that's not the way, like you said before, there is winning strategies amongst all of these. I tried multiples, and, I thought I was scoring well in many areas, but again, there is some critical moments that you need either a good die roll, either in the roll off or just when it's your turn. You're taking the first, dice that you need a good roll for that so that you can, catch up. And if you don't get it, then it is what it is. But I think overall, it is absolutely has this even playing field when it comes to the game state and the rolling and the randomness. I think it does welcome this kind of gateway gamer for sure. I think it's a really good game for that. Absolutely.
For sure. A couple of things I would note, and I think Ian would agree with me here. This game wants you to have a higher player count. It will shine at 4. It'll do all right at 3. I don't really like it at 2, but
no, 4
at
4
is the spot for sure.
It gives you there's more like
you want the dice because you lose dice when you go down, and yeah.
Well, you still take 4 dice, right? Am I wrong?
You personally don't, but like the choices go away a little bit.
So then now you're really creating this even tighter circle of randomness around the dice, especially the movement ones, like because now you have less. You have 3. If you play a 3 play, it's per player, so you have 3. It just makes it a little bit more challenging because now you have that spread that I was talking about seems to get even wider in a 3-player game than a 4-player game. So,
gotcha. Yep, I agree.
So that is the challenge too, and it did seem like I think I played this game more at 3 than 4, so maybe that was part of it as well. Maybe if I played it a couple more times at the full player count, maybe I see it differently on that. But
maybe, yeah, I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So those are kind of our thoughts, unless you got anything else. But I kind of feel like that more or less sums it up. I definitely feel like if you're into chucking dice or you are looking for a good gateway game that I think midweight gamers and down have a good shot at enjoying if they're okay with luck, then I think this is definitely one that could work at your table. if you're a heavier gamer, if you're a Euro gamer that likes no dice or luck involvement, it's just not going to be for you.
No,
it's
don't
too,
even.
It's too light. It's
Yeah.
just not what you're looking for. If you don't like any luck at all, it's just not what you're looking for. And that's okay. Like, there's a lot of games out there. But yeah, so that's my final thoughts. Ian, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, not in general. I think all of those points that we've mentioned on why this game and who it fits for, like, again, if you've played, a lot of, I don't know, Ticket to Ride and Catan, like this is honestly, this is kind of a step up to having a lot more decisions on what you do with your turn. And I think this is yeah, it's a gateway. But this adds a lot of choices, in my opinion. I think this is a nice step because you have to pick the dice, and so you kind of have to come up with a game plan a little bit on, like, what am I trying to do with my game? And I think that's some really good critical decision making, especially for, like, gateway gamers. Like, this is going to make your not brain hurt, and that's not what I'm trying to say, but it's just giving you a lot of choices. What strategy am I going to go for? And a game like this really does welcome that, allow players to kind of come up with their own game and how am I going to play it, more than, some of the other games where, if you look at Ticket to Ride, it's like, I'm going to draw some tickets to complete them. That's not what's happening here. You're very much adapting as the game is being played, and what is the best option for me now. And so that's a really good, mechanic for gamers, especially gateway gamers, that you don't always see that in some of these games where it's a little bit more straightforward thinking. This has a little bit of depth to it, which I really think is good. I think it's a good balance. It's a good balance of decision making with, like we said before, in the end, I don't think you can go wrong just, picking a couple dice that you think are good. Like, it's not, you don't have to think about it that hard. But I think it's got some good decision making in it. It's nice.
Sweet. What a positive note to end on. I love that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm just trying to ride the EAC.
Hey, man, the ups and downs, the side to side. So, all right, y'all. Well, we appreciate y'all for checking us out this week and for listening this far. If you have feedback or want to give us your thoughts on the game, we would greatly appreciate it. You can check out all of our different links and descriptions in the description below. And if you like socials, check us out there. I will say we dropped a Tantrum Con preview a couple days ago. No, sorry, I guess about a week ago. Because this is going to be
it'll be a week. Yeah.
Yep. And I just want to say, like, cons give us the best opportunity for growth. It just puts us in front of a lot of people that are all in that like-minded state. And so if you can share, whatever, stuff like that, we're going to be doing both a preview and recap for Tantrum Con, Funkade Town, Gen Con, and if we can make it to any other conventions, we'll do it there too. And so would really appreciate your help on that. 5-star reviews, subscribing your podcast player of choice, liking us on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube, all the things. There's so many ways to use those heroic abilities that you have to help us out and grow this podcast.
So many.
Special thanks to Ashley McCaffrey for our cover art, to Anna Snyder, who made the intro and outro music, and to Aleksey Chistilin for the How to Play background music. Join us next week as we head back over to the two-top table. In the meantime, may your dice rolls and your card draws be blessed, and your experiences at the table be ones to remember forever.
Give me some Finn.
Righteous! Righteous!
Dude.
I love it.